Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and here's our podcast that I always wish existed, a bite sized, on the ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to make the day a little better and to make us a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So today I'm going to talk about something I think we all know, but we forget the moment that life gets murky, that what can feel like darkness may actually be our rising. So at the end of spring, I had brunch with one of my longtime spiritual advisors, Francesca. I love her so much. She's one of those people like I don't have to see her for ages and we just pick up right where we left off. And she's actually one of those rare, precious relationships. I would call her a pocket sage where I hear her in my head and it's amazing. And we met at this beautiful cafe with warm light. It's very picturesque, big windows overlooking the water. But the outside of that visual was not what the inside of my soul was like. I was very, very gray. And I was in a hallway, right? One of those dim stretches that I've talked about a lot on this pod. And I was really in this in-between state. Like I knew I wasn't like in the darkness, but I really couldn't see what was coming next. And so, she asked me, how are you? Or how are things? That's what she said. How are things? And I said, well, I'm in a hallway. I can't see the next door yet, but I don't think I said it like that because I'm actually in a very nice space today. So I think I said it more in like a very tight voiced, heavy hearted way because, it sort of felt like fear and sadness and surrender and a little bit of hopelessness all braided together. And she listened really quietly, the way that somebody does when they really know you and really see you. And then she said something that changed me. And I want to share with you, friends. She shares it she's British. So this was shared in a British accent. I'm not going to try to do a British accent, but I want you to picture this because it's a little bit more powerful in a British accent. And she said in a very commanding tone, Molly, you are not in a hallway. You are not in darkness. You're ascending. This is what it feels like to ascend. And I swear, like, this is why you got to have people who you just believe, right? Something in me shifted instantly. It wasn't like the fog disappeared, but something really illuminated, like a little window cracked open in that hallway. And for whatever it's worth, you never know when it hits, right? That single reframe changed the course of my life. I stopped saying that. I was saying that over and over and over. I'm in a hallway. It's gray. It's murky. I was saying that. And listen, repetition is a form of prayer. So I was really repeating something that was, I think, becoming true. And she just snapped me out of it. And honestly, that's what the Daily Ascent is all about, right? So when she said I was ascending and then I had this idea for this podcast, I was like, well, maybe we're all going to decide to ascend, right? Because that's what ascents are all about, remembering that the climb can be beautiful even when it's dark. And also, for whatever it's worth, remembering that the climb is not just all the way up. We go down, we go sideways. Like, that's life, my friends. So today's pocket sage comes from one of my favorite daily readers called Each Day a New Beginning, Karen Casey. She writes a lot of daily readers. This is a great one. And just a reminder, these daily readers are just these small little books of reflections. Sometimes they feel like a little spiritual horoscope, right? And they can really deliver some great wisdom. Here's what she says on March 23rd. Every ending gives birth to a new beginning. Each transition brings us closer to the truth of who we're meant to be. When we let go of what we can't control and trust the process, we make space for grace to enter. Whew. One more time for those of you in the back. Every ending gives birth to a beginning. Each transition brings us closer to the truth of who we are meant to be. When we let go of what we can't control and trust the process, We make space for grace to enter. And that's exactly what Francesca was offering me that morning. She wasn't giving me a roadmap out of the darkness, but just a beautiful and solid reminder that endings and uncertainty are the birthplace of the new. Tide always turns. And what she helped me to understand, and what this reading really reinforces for us, is that faith is not about seeing things clearly. Faith is not about like your answer on a platter for you. It's actually about trusting that the blur has meaning and just walking up that mountain one step, one step, one step. And I'm as guilty of this as the rest of you. Like, we tend to label dark seasons as regressions, like as steps backward, but I don't know. They're actually the steepest part of the climb, right? Like maybe this tightness in your chest, maybe this not knowing, maybe this discomfort, maybe it's proof that you're stretching and stretching towards something new, better, or more aligned with your soul. And listen, it's okay if you don't feel like you're ascending right now. Namaste. I'm with you on that. There were years I didn't feel that way. But most of us only recognize it in hindsight that we're actually ascending, even when we feel like we don't. We can only see the lessons that we're learning in this darkness when we come back into the light. So I just want to invite you to believe it anyway. Just trust that if you're in the darkness, it's not here to stop you. It's here to shape you. And a window's going to open. I promise. So our word of the day, perspective. Perspective is our lens, and it changes everything, not by altering the situation, but by transforming how we see it. And when Francesca told me that I was ascending, nothing in my life changed in that moment. I was still in uncertainty, still scared, still unsure, but my perspective changed. I chose to believe her, and that's a choice we can all make. And suddenly that darkness became sacred. And perspective is honestly spiritual alchemy. It can really turn fear into some faith and endings into beginnings and confusion into clarity. It's how we can remember that when we can't see the full picture, we're still being painted into something beautiful, I promise. And so, reflective question for the day: where in your life can you shift your perspective? Where can you shift from it's murky to it's moving, or from I'm stuck to it's rising? These are choices we can make today. And if you're in the hallway right now, if it feels dim or slow or unclear, remember, you honestly might not be in the darkness at all. You just might be ascending. That's cute, right? Like our show. All right, gang, until next time, I am here rooting hard for you through chaos and still, and I'll see you next time.